I'm on Facebook. Oh, okay. Not being connected with the internet, some people, so I get all these.
It's on the internet. This one is, you need to be connected with Blanchard Area Radio Group for your own group, because we put out the emergency things and all of that kind of stuff.
I'll just write on a piece of paper to give it to me right here to do this. Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Okay.
Get this mic close so we can hear you.
Go sit down. It's 9 o'clock.
All right, folks, if we can take our seats, it's 9 o'clock and we're going to get started. Good morning. It is 9 a.m. on Tuesday, October 10th, 2023. We are at the Bonner County Administration Building on the first floor. I am Vice Chair Luke Ahmet. Commissioner Asia Williams is also present, and Commissioner Steve Bradshaw is unable to attend today. We're here today for a business meeting, and the purpose of the regular business meeting is for the Board of County Commissioners to conduct the business of Bonner County publicly. Regular business meetings do not constitute public hearings wherein the public has the right to be heard on every agendized item. However, at the discretion of the chair, everyone may be afforded an opportunity to speak on a particular issue. If recognized by the chair, any unrecognized comments or disruptive behavior will be grounds for removal from the board meeting by the chair and may subject the person being removed to criminal prosecution according to the law. If we would please stand and for the invocation led by Pastor Lawrence.
Our Father, we thank you for another new day, a day that you have made, a day at which we can rejoice in you. We pray today for the peace of Jerusalem and for the people of the nation of Israel and the surrounding areas, those people of different backgrounds that have gathered there seeking direction in life. We pray for their safety. We pray for the wisdom of those involved in the war. And we ask that you will give wisdom to the leaders of the United States and how to react and respond to different situations. We know there is upheaval throughout our land, and it seems to affect every nation around the world. It affects the nation that we live in, and the states, and the counties, the cities, and we pray for your peace. I thank you, Lord, that you have blessed me with an assurance of salvation through faith in Jesus Christ, and that you will stir the hearts of your people to respond to you and to pray for this county commission and for the meetings that take place and the actions that need to be made. We pray for wisdom. We ask your guidance, and we do not favor one man or one woman against another, but we look to you for guidance and direction for all, and for all who will speak and share today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now proceed to the public comment section of our meeting. Please approach the microphone so that people in the area know who you are and for the record. And then in addition, state your name. Comments are 3 minutes in length. If it is on an agendized item, please wait. There will be an opportunity to speak on that agendized item. You're the front of the line, even though you aren't on the list. Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, you're totally fine. You're a member of the public.
Kevin Moore for the record. And so, yeah, I appreciate the pastor here. We live in what we call the melting pot or whatever of the world or whatever. And scripture tells us we're to be no respecter of persons. And so praise God for the melting pot that we are. But to bring that back a little more local, whatever, I'm hoping in living in this melting pot and that there's no respecter of persons, that the laws of the land are steadily not only wanted to be followed by the common citizenry, but particularly people that get voted into the offices that steadily make decisions that are affecting the people that have voted them in. And so just as we earlier today, whatever, was dialoguing about some planning and zoning scenarios, whatever, I'm wanting my local people in office, whether it's planning and zoning or the commissioners that help control them, because I've heard numerous dialogue through the year of how you guys can turn down the heat in their room if they're not, leaning the way you want them to lean. I'm wanting all of my people in positions of being voted in and sworn in oath to the office to at least want to uphold the laws of the county, state, and federal. And just for instance, one of the county ordinances is that on any piece of property in Bonner County, that nobody will do anything that will cause the water to come more than 1 foot out of bank. And so that's just one little law, whatever, that's within the county ordinance. And so Idaho Department of Water Resources, as per a state agency, and actually they're connected with Corps of Engineers, which is a federal agency. They have criteria, law, whatever you want to term, for drainage, for culvert sizing for drainage areas. And so this solidifies, or this is incorporated in the ordinance that I brought up a second ago about the county ordinance about not letting water come more than 1 foot out of bank. And so when a citizen comes to you guys and let you know that there's an impounding of water, not normal flooding, but impounding, then there's a term that has to fall within governmental agencies called remedial action, doing remedy. When you find out that there's a miscalculation or a application of what has been done in the past for the common good, a county road. And so I'm just trying to let my fellow citizens, peer group, whatever, know that there's a pristine North Idaho creek called Coquilala Creek in Bonner County that is being abused as per environmental law. And it actually extends out into harm as per we had a train derailment in Coquilala a few years ago. And it was partially, I'm going to choose my words here correctly, or be careful how I choose my words. There's a term called liquefaction of railroad bed. And I have sent around numerous people copies, photographs of water areas in a train track scenario. And the last thing we need in the Bonner County is not another train derailment that would happen to be not corn, but be Bakken oil. And we'd be talking and be affected about that for a long time.
Thank you, Kevin.
Mr. Martin.
Good morning. Thank you for being here, commissioners. For the record, my name is Wayne Martin. Reading something from the Idaho Republican Party. Elected officials work for the people, and if they affiliate as Republicans, then they are obligated to support the platform. Voters deserve to know if their representatives are holding true to their promises and their principles. I know there's a lot of concern among the citizens of Bonner County. The fighting and all that seems to take place here. I was at or have been attending quite a few meetings, and all I keep hearing is, negative comments about. So I'm hoping that the commissioners and the citizens of Bonner County can all work together and be mutually respectful to one another. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Mrs. Lunford.
Good morning, glad to see you guys all here. Amy Lunsford for the record. So my first question is, has Mr. Bradshaw gotten anything back from the AG on Darcy Smith's investigation? It's been months now, and he said he was gonna send that up to the AG to have them put some eyes on it, and we have heard nothing back. So that's my first question. And my second question is I've been attending other board meetings, and there seems to be a confusion on how many IT teams that there are in the county. So some people believe that the only IT that they can go under is the sheriffs, and that's where they're stuck, whether they want to be there or not. And being in these meetings, I understand that there's two, like the sheriff has his own IT, and then Bonner County has their own IT. So can you give some feedback on why some groups feel like they're stuck under the sheriff's IT and why some groups feel they can choose? And is there really two ITs?
So on your first part, I think what was stated was that Lewis Marshall was going to send that report over to the AG on the request of Bradshaw. And so what I can do is ask Marshall if he's received a response back. I haven't seen one yet. And with respect to IT, we have a technology department, and it has been bifurcated for personnel issues. And so in terms of elected officials, they kind of are selecting who they want to manage. There isn't a, you must go one direction or another direction from my understanding. And so there's nobody within like what is being termed sheriff's IT. That's a word that's being used, but it's not an official, there is such a thing. There is technology, and we have one director of technology.
Okay, so why would they think that? So why are people using the term sheriff's technology and Bonner County technology?
I don't know
Is
why
there two
people,
different IT people, if one IT person do a better job than the other?
the word has just been within the community, but there is technology is the department, and there are people that are not electeds can choose who they feel, because they have the custodian of their own record essentially. And so some people feel that they would like people that are on one side to do it versus other, and it just kind of grew, but there isn't an official sheriff's IT department.
Okay, so if a board feels like they're under the sheriff's IT, they're still under the same IT as everybody else in the county.
No,
Oh.
it's one technology department. And so some people will say, I would rather have this individual who is under technology
So
to
it's an
have
employee.
access.
So it's the sheriff's employee that manages their technology versus the county's employee?
There's two different departments of 5 personnel each.
Okay,
And in regard, there's different systems. For example, the prosecutor has a different type of information rather than road and bridge. And so it was a decision made by the previous board to bifurcate, as Commissioner Williams said. And there is 2 different domains, and in my opinion, very wisely, there are multiple layers of security to be able to protect the data, especially in regard, all of the data is important. Here you have taxpayer data such as name, address, social, all of the stuff that is associated with everybody who pays taxes within this county. Within the justice IT side, you've got victims, you've got assailants, you've got residents of the Bonner County Sheriff's Office, you have people on probation, so there is a degree of siloing of that data, which was, that was a decision of the previous board. And it continues at this time.
Okay, so if you guys are in charge of a board, then why would they choose to be underneath the sheriff's IT guy? If you're in charge of them, shouldn't you have the say of where their IT should be managed? Or is it that board's choice? Even though that board states that they
It
were
is the
told
latter.
that there's
It is
just
the
one, and
latter.
that's where they have to be.
It is the latter.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any other members of the public that would like to comment publicly in the open public comment section?
Are you allowed to do this thing?
You know, it's a new rainy day. Absolutely, Kevin.
Before he does a second, there is a hand.
Oh,
on
pardon
the
me.
line.
Thank you. After we get Miss Crawford. Miss Crawford, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
Reg Crawford, thank you. Once again, I'm here to talk about minor land divisions that are being improved on today's consent agenda. I've sent this board and the planning department emails on this because 2 court decisions recently have found that the current process for approving minor land divisions in this way administratively violates the public's ability to denies potential petitioners of clear, concise basis for which they may need for their appeal. And yet this process is continued to do it on. When I no longer work with Project 7B, but when I did, we consulted 2 attorneys on this, and they both agreed that this process is illegal. And so I'm concerned as to why the county is continuing to accept this risk rather than address the necessary code changes needed to bring the MLD process into compliance with LUPA. And furthermore, there is no appeal process for this, which LUPA also requires. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Crawford. Mr. Moore.
Yeah, Kevin Moore for the record. I'm sorry to do this, but the sister just reminded me of something that as I had earlier conversation with some other people. Can you guys say at all where the county stands? Because, and I'm a lot of times way behind timing, but I'm still going to ask the question on the Verbetta lawsuit. Or is that still pending, or was that taken care of years ago, or where are we stand on the Verbetta?
The bridge,
Yes, the Verbetta
the
Bridge.
bridge is, that lawsuit has been settled. It's complete.
So did the public get to know what the ending amount was and all how that ended up?
I don't have all the details on,
I don't want to detail.
well, I don't have the details, so I'm not gonna give them to you because then I'm gonna have to apologize later for messing up, but if you schedule a time with, I can get you details. How would you,
I
I
was
will-
thinking generality.
I will get information because I'm also not gonna speak about something I'm not supposed to out loud.
Amen.
Verbetta lawsuit for Kevin. And I will find out what we can do. And if more of the public.
Hopefully it's not just for Kevin. Hopefully it's for the county because we all pay taxes.
Right.
Settle on lawsuits.
Oh, yes, we do. Anybody else for public comment today?
Dave Bowman for the record. I just noticed that, I think everybody who's asked a question up here has gotten an answer except for Reg Crawford, who asked some pretty good questions and I think should get an answer like everybody else.
Thanks, Dave.
I have concerns regarding the MLD process, especially when I see it go phase 1, phase 2, and it looks like we're really building a subdivision. That's why I want to have the discussion within the community about how the MLD process works. And it is a topic that is going to come up next week with the planners. I did not ask our guest today about it because that was not her background, but it is a concern that I have and one that I also looked at with the city of Sandpoint and kind of their surrounding area of how we're making the decisions to do minor land divisions, and especially the concern that what is the process by which the community can actually protest a minor land division that's done administratively. A lot of people have been bringing me files that are very thick to ask me to go through of how did we get this far? And it's a lot of information. I do have the same concerns that Reg has. Are we following a process that's usual and typical across municipalities? And it does seem like we are kind of stretching the boundaries of that process, but I don't have the concrete information to present because we need more people to be on board to provide that objective information. But it is on the top of my list. Glahey and Associates agreed to participate with giving us that discussion, as well as Jeremy Grimm, who is a developer. Sometimes developers are charged with finding the loopholes in your comp plan, and that's why you want to have that person come forward to kind of give us an understanding. MLDs has been an issue that our community has had. And especially when you look at October 2022, where we felt a lot of developers were coming in before we changed our comp plan. So that's a lot to say is the concerns are valid. It is reasonable for us to address. I'm not confident that we do have a clear process for which the individual community members can protest. I do know that on some, people will write an appeal, and that is up to the commissioners to hear the appeal. It is not set in stone the way Ms. Crawford identified.
Minor land divisions, excuse me, have been vetted by the county's legal team. For example, there are a couple of minor land divisions that can be found in the consent packet. And if people wanted to, they can go online to look at them. For example, the first one, it's a 20 and change parcel that's being divided into 2 10s in an R10 zone. So it clearly fits the zoning. It is a private property right. It is a process that is used across the state of Idaho. And we have been working with legal. We will go through the courts. I don't concur with Ms. Crawford's position in regards to the court perspective. But it is going to be up to the court to adjudicate what happens, and we shall see. And planning is working with legal as they go through. I do agree with Commissioner Williams that it is a delicate balance that we're going to get answers to. Mr. Garrett.
Good morning, George Garrick for the record. Project 7B posted yesterday, and I quote, until 2016, Bonner County followed the same rules for land division as the rest of the state, unquote. And it goes on. How many other counties have created this carve out for minor land divisions? I mean, Commissioner Omot, you made it sound like this is kind of state typical practice, but why did we change in 2016, and how many other counties in Idaho are like this? Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item on our agenda is to adopt the order. Oh, sorry. I apologize. Go ahead.
I just had a quick question.
Raise it up,
Okay, I don't have a raise it up.
bottom,
You have to
twist,
loosen it
twist
right
that,
there.
pull it up. There you go.
Thank you. Are there changes still being made to the website? The Bonner County website?
Yes. Are you looking? Here's an update. I'm not involved in that. The IT department is working with the different drop down people. So the different electeds, the different departments, and our website provider. I don't know exactly where it's at, but they are moving forward on updating the website.
Has the wording been changed at all for like the commissioners and what they do?
I have no idea.
Who would know that?
I can get you that information,
Okay, thank you.
but I'm not sure. I mean, we use a lot of words as commissioners. So are you talking about a particular page, a particular wording, a particular paragraph?
So there was a paragraph stating what the job of the commissioners is. And I saw it a few months ago and now it's gone. So I just was curious and I noticed that the website has changed.
I have no idea.
So
Commissioner Williams, do you know what?
Technology is not,
references?
technology hasn't asked those questions or provided information. So maybe if you send an email and copy technology, Jacob Storms, then we can get a direct answer to your question.
Okay.
And then specifically what it is that you're seeing that changed on it.
Okay. I would think they would come to you guys if they were making changes, right? To wording and instead of just, or do they have the power to actually just change the website to however?
I don't know the date or the
asking.
time, so I don't have a reference to be able to give you a prudent response, Ms. Bolin.
So what isn't in existence is a plan that says this is a project and the milestones that tell you when you can expect to see certain updates. There has not been a plan like that rolled out. I did send a request to technology a few months ago regarding whether technology had met with various department heads and elected officials regarding upgrading the page. And that was at the same time that there was a request to pay the for the service. And that answer was that they had not met at that time, that they were allowing the third-party vendor to kind of take hold of that. There has been no update from technology regarding that. The commissioner that identifies as being over that department is Commissioner Ahmed. So
Okay.
that your question would have to go
I'll
there.
give you an update next week,
Okay.
along with a bridge update
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
for the general public, but also for Kevin.
Excuse me? I just would like to follow up while I respect that Commissioner Ahmed disagrees with my opinion that the MLD process is illegal. I would like to mention that District Judge McHugh made a July 7th decision that overturned 2 minor line divisions, and the language was clear in there. And that the county is currently out of compliance with LUPA for having appeal hearings. That's LUPA code 67-6534, and these will be available to the public on a website called bonnercountyidaho.com if anybody cares to look and decide for themselves about the legality. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Crawford. Going once. Going twice. Moving on to adopting the order of the agenda.
I move to adopt the order of the agenda.
Are you,
Wait just a second. There's an amendment here. Oh, so there's an amendment request from the prosecutor's office to approve an amendment of the agenda by adding an executive session under Idaho Code 74204 subsection 2 and 1C property acquisition at the request of the prosecutor's office. So I move to adopt the order of agenda as amended.
pardon me, Commissioner, we need to first make a motion to amend. Find out if that motion will pass, and then we would adopt
So the way he wrote it was,
there's 2 different motions there. So the first one is the top one.
so I don't have that then. So I will move,
I will step down from the
Yeah.
chair and I move to approve the amendment of the agenda by adding an executive session under Idaho Code 74-2042 and Idaho Code 74-2061C property acquisition at the request of the prosecutor's office. Is there a second?
so I think what you did was you read exactly what I read, but you're saying that first we need to approve an amendment before we approve that to actually approve first is what I said. And you said that was wrong.
I did not say anything of the sort that it being wrong. There are 2 motions involved.
Okay, I second the motion.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any discussion amongst the board?
No,
Roll call vote. Yes.
yes,
I will step down from the chair and move to adopt the order of agenda as amended. There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
There is a motion and a second. Is there any discussion amongst the board?
No,
Roll call vote. Yes,
yes,
the motion passes. District 1 Commissioner report.
I'm District 2, so I think
Oh,
we're,
pardon me. I don't think that Mr. Bradshaw will be reporting anything today. The District 2 Commissioner report.
so tonight at 10 o'clock at the Mercantile in Blanchard, we're going to have a discussion with Road and Bridge regarding some of the road repairs. So thank you to Ron for being willing to expedite us having that discussion and for the director, Jason Top. There are some known kind of concerns regarding what happened with respect to how high the road was lifted. There's a lot of people that commented on the height of the road. So He will be available to the community. The community is aware. We kind of posted it everywhere. So it's tonight at 6 o'clock at the Mercantile, and we'll have Ron from Road and Bridge there to talk about the road repairs in Blanchard. It looks like maybe also some of the concern is that we're combining two different things that are happening in Blanchard. We have a road repair happening by the county, but we also have, feels like the 10th attempt of increasing internet service down there. And so, but that's not the same group. They just happen to be on the same road, actually. But if you have a concern there, come and have that discussion with our county. We want to say good luck to 4-H horse state champs there in Ohio, trying to take a national title for that. So we're sending them good thoughts. Friday, the 20th at 5:30 p.m. at the Blanchard Community Center, we will be having a meeting regarding the RV case that is going to come before the board. So if you're in that particular area, please make sure that you come. Next week, the 17th, we have our planning department will be available. This is a good opportunity to pull some of the questions that we got out with Mrs. Bowman to our planning department. We got a very good view of what is the background, what's the process and procedure, and it'd be a fantastic time for us to kind of get an understanding of how our department views that. And we did get a lot of useful information today, so we had a really good turnout, and it's important for us to not feel the give up feeling when we feel the decisions are not going the way we want them to. Sometimes we can get focused on the outcome and not realize that the process of being visible and being heard is just as important as that outcome. And it gives us the information of what we're looking for as individuals, of who we want to be in the positions that make those decisions that we have issues and concerns with. So I know it's difficult. Sometimes the meetings don't go well. Sometimes people don't get a comment out that they want to give a comment out on, but stay engaged with local government. That is the goal of local government, for you, the people to be visible to the people they put in position. And when you don't get what you want, that you look at who can fill that gap of education and kind of that bridge between the community and an elected. It's not our comp plan as elected officials, it's ours as a community. And it is, we don't know what the community wants unless we open those doors. And I do want to give, especially since Luke is in the back, last week's commissioner chat with a defense attorney was fantastic. And one of the comments that a lot of people gave me was a better understanding of defense attorney and what their function is in the county. A lot of people kind of have that idea of, why is the attorney for the county defending that criminal that we all know is guilty? And I'm sure that he doesn't get tired of hearing that question. But the answer is if we can look at it as he's defending the right that is at risk for that decision, to make sure that when that right is potentially taken away, that it was following the correct process, is actually really fighting for all of us in every single one of those situations. And the number of people that really felt that that's really what they understood versus we're wasting our money on the 10-time criminal of the same crime was fantastic to feel like we were really part of educating our community. I'm very thankful to everybody that participates with Commissioner Chat, because emailing a question is fine, but the dialogue that you get from the conversation is invaluable, and the videos are getting shared throughout not just our community, but other counties and other states have actually looked at what we're doing. So I'm thankful to everybody that offers to participate. On the 28th of October, let me go 24th. 24th Commissioner Chat is the DEQ, and they are our last Commissioner Chat for October. I got an opportunity to meet with City of Sandpoint, and I'll be doing that every month. They are also going to try to attend our DEQ Commissioner Chat. DEQ is going to bring a panel, all things water, knowing what our area has issues and concerns about. So it's an opportunity to come maybe with your pre-filled, very clear, concise questions, because 45 minutes is not long enough to get through all of what DEQ has to offer. And as much as we want to go through our individual situations, the purpose of the chat is really to span our community, not our individual. And so some people do email me saying, I want you to ask this question. The purpose is the dialogue. It isn't actually the question. It's the back and forth with the community. DEQ is excited to come, and I'm excited to be able to be part of that. But I do really want to stress, let's ask clear, concise questions, not the setup question for the planning file that we have an issue with or something that we know is going to litigation. We need to understand their process. And there is opportunity within the DEQ that we don't have enough teeth. And so what does that look like as a community? Because as we do these chats, we always end with the same thing, but what can we do? How can we force? How can we get the outcome? And it might start with looking at what DEQ is able to do with respect to water. On the 28th, we will have our Priest River community meeting at 10 a.m. at the Priest River Senior Center. We have some elected officials that will attend to include precinct committeemen. Right now, we know that we have a vote coming up on the 7th of November. For District 2, we have West Bonner County School District Zone 5 is up. We have 2 people running for that position. I encourage everybody to hear what both have to say, regardless of who you support. We need to know who we're putting in these positions. To do a recall is not necessarily beneficial, even if it's the outcome that someone wanted, because there's a lot that impacts the community. So I encourage everybody to look to Carlin Barton and Kathy Nash and understand their positions, attend their events, do the town halls and ask the tough questions so that when we cast our votes, we know that we have a solid board moving forward and a plan of action. On November 7th, we are going to have a guest speaker, and it's going to be a little bit different of a chat. We have veteran Mr. C out of Clark Fork. I still do service to Clark Fork in District 3 with their community center, and he has a very big heart when it comes to veterans and the need of our community to focus on veterans. And he wants to come and share his story. So it will be more of a hear about him, what his ideas are, and really an opportunity to be thankful for people like him who served in our armed forces, and to hear the needs, to see if we as people can fill some of those needs that he sees. He travels not just throughout Bonner County, but also to Kootenai County. One of his big missions is the housing crisis for our veterans. So I encourage everybody to come out just to support him. We are going to work every week until that day to kind of make sure he gets out all that he wants to say as a member of our community. But that is an absolute fantastic opportunity just to kind of reset. The last 2 months of November and December, we will not have commissioner chat because of the holidays. I want to make sure that we don't burn ourselves out, and I want to make sure we get really good attendance, which we have been having. So in recognition of people who like eating holidays, we're not gonna do that at the last 2. But the second week of November, we're just going to have a let's come together as a community and really look at the MLD issue, our planning, our comp plan, so that we know where to go. It is very difficult because in some ways, especially with planning, it feels like we are in opposition with ourselves, and we need to have a meeting of the minds. And I'm hopeful that after speaking with planning next week and the presentation today, that we can move forward with a more solid plan of what are we building in a comp plan. One of my meetings with City of Sandpoint is they are actually working on their comp plan. Once that's finished, they're going to be looking at their area of impact. And that is really something that as the county, we need to pay attention to. My takeaway from my meeting with the city is really that there is a lot that we can gain through opening the communication with the unincorporated, the city and the county. Some people asked today about how some people bring up issues and concerns in these files, and sometimes the board just passes it saying, well, that's not my section. And that there is an opportunity for us to do better planning, better development that's not just one-sided, but a future plan. Because what we don't want to do is start doing minor land divisions or subdivisions, knowing that there's a potential problem. We're giving these developments kind of a pass, and then we say, wait, now there's a water issue. We put in 8 septic tanks and 8 wells, and the water couldn't really affect all of the necessary people. And we don't know that because from a septic standpoint, we don't do test holes. We just say potentially. And so we're potentially creating a problem that we're supposed to protect for our members of our community through LUPA. And so there's a lot of opportunity. I encourage people to come next week to speak to planning from a spirit of cooperation and understanding, not specific files, but understanding their viewpoint, because whether you agree or not, the understanding helps us know how to move forward as a community, even if that means I would like to be more involved in this particular area. I want to come to more of those meetings. So that is my commissioner report for today. Any questions?
Get more for the record. So yeah, I appreciate you bringing up some of those things there. And so we're all spontaneous of listening to and then hopefully reacting. And so I got reminded to today, I'm probably going to say this wrong, so hopefully somebody can correct me. Today is recognition of homelessness. And so as you were talking about this gentleman from Clark Court, I just wanted to bring that to our attention. Mr. Pomeroy, a preacher here in town, I guess he's retired now, that he's steadily trying to put together a apartment complex for homelessness here in Ponderay, I think it is. But today happens to be, I just happened to see it this morning on my smartphone, that today is a remembrance of homelessness.
Thank you.
Monica Gunner for the record. Asia, I love your commissioners' chats. I have learned so much from listening to the people. When I don't make it here, I listen online. And I really appreciate that. I really think you learned a lot from the commissioners' chat also. And I'm wondering why the other two commissioners don't come and join in. Have they been invited? And what's their reason for not joining in as a community?
So everybody is invited at the beginning of commissioner chat. Sometimes Commissioner Ahmet would come down and you can go on record and see me saying you can come and take your seat. It is up to the individuals. I don't know whether or not they watch the videos or not. I know that I have gone through and rewatched some of the videos to hear from the experts. I know that Kootenai County in specific has actually looked at kind of our Panhandle health videos. I do believe it's informative. I think it is up to each commissioner whether or not they want to use that resource. I would encourage everybody to do it, but it is their decision, and maybe they choose not to. It is properly noticed on purpose, and it's a recurring event on purpose so that there wouldn't be an issue with anybody coming, and there is no decision. And that comes to kind of sometimes there's a misunderstanding on when can all the commissioners be in a room. We're not making a decision. We're just having a discussion. So there is no issue with all three commissioners coming to the chat. It was intentionally noticed so that if people disagree with that idea, that has been removed. So it's an individual decision.
John Dupree for the record. I want to compliment you, Luke, because I think your sharing this has been much more civil than it has been in prior times, and I thank you for that. I want to thank you for your chats because they are so informative. One of the reasons I started coming here is because I wanted to find out what's going on in government as a citizen, taxpayer, and so on and so forth. And I've learned a lot. And the kind of thing that you're doing, you're from my district, and I appreciate your representing us and getting us to think about why we do what we do. And the money that gets spent here is extremely important because we're all paying the bill. And the more that each of the commissioners can do to share with us what's being worked on, because when we have a commissioner report and nothing is reported, what are we to conclude? They're doing nothing, or they don't want us to know what's going on? That's not healthy. You know, I love this interaction, and I really appreciate what I'm seeing here. And by the way, just as an FYI for all my friends, this thing is a microphone. And if you're a soft-spoken person, you need to get up on top of it. If you're a loudmouth like me, you don't need it. But some of us need to understand this is a tool that helps the people online and here and all of us. So please, if you're soft-spoken, kiss the microphone. Thank you.
Mostly thank you, Mr. Dupree.
Any other questions for District 2? All right, that'll conclude my report.
Thank you, Commissioner. Last week I had the privilege to be invited to go on an eco flight with the Friends of Scotchman Peak Wilderness over Scotchman Peak. It is majestic. As I was flying over, you can also see the consequence of our fire management. I believe it was 2015 where the fires, and then flying back over, we could see the Trestle Creek fires. And there was also, we had about that much time to be able to see the consequence of the B-top fire. That little fire was approximately 50 acres, and it was millions of dollars that were spent for the protection of residents and safety. Scotchman Peak is impressive. It is very inaccessible. It's an incredible opportunity. On Wednesday and Thursday, I attended the Idaho Land Leaders Summit. And the Idaho Land Leaders Summit was largely focused on the Idaho endowment lands. Controller Wolf and representatives of the Secretary of State were there discussing how do Idahoans manage endowment lands. This is especially important to me as a resident of Northern Idaho. The endowment lands are lands that are owned by the state that are harvested to provide funds for public education. Most of those lands are north of Grangeville. However, the majority of the funds flow back to Ada and Canyon County because that is where the overwhelming majority of our students reside. I grew up in the timber industry, but it wasn't in saw logs. It was in a very unique position, which was with poles. And while I was there, it's fascinating because the Western red cedar grows in a very, very limited portion of the country. But the difference between a Western red cedar pole versus a saw log made of Doug fir or larch is significant. Western red cedar has been holding at anywhere from 3 to 6 times the value of other species over the last decade. In 2019, the Forest Action Management Plan ramp up improved or increased our level of harvest from 108 to 328 million board feet. This is a crazy amount of fiber that is being harvested. The endowment timberland represents 6% of timberlands in Idaho, but supplies over 30% of the fiber. IFG and Alta are major players and employers who provide living wage jobs for Northern Idaho. The standing inventory of our endowment lands and the forests, and this was presented by the Idaho Department of Lands, has remained steady since the 1950s, but we are currently harvesting 328 million board feet in comparison to in the 1950s when we were harvesting 100 million board feet. On the first night of the summit, there was a rather depressing industry outlook. And the reason why it was somewhat pessimistic is in regards to interest rates, housing starts, and labor. Our country is getting older, houses are getting more expensive, and interest rates are rising. At the same time, I would note that this country has been through that before, and we have dealt with those challenges. One of the individuals who was presenting was Carl Crabtree, a deputy superintendent of operations from the State Department of Education. And his contribution to the conversation was, this is a generational challenge. And through some of the governor's initiatives, by investing in CTE programs, this is how we are going to address it. These problems that we face are driven by federal policies with our monetary policy, in addition to the increased interest of people making their turn to have a life here in the inland Northwest. There was a presentation by a vice president from Potlatch-Deltic. And because of the challenges that we are having with labor and housing here, it is their supposition that in the near future, we will be receiving yellow pine for some of our construction versus our local wood. I hope that they are wrong. Housing is a challenge. Interest rates are a challenge. But it's also incredible if you go to the local schools and the institutions and you see that we just had another charter school open here in Bonner County. And there is another charter school that opened in Boundary County. To see the investment that is made across this state by taxpayers in preparation for our future. And it was great to see state elected leaders sending their representatives forward to figure out how we work together as counties, state educators, and stakeholders with industry to address the problems that face not just Bonner County, but Idaho. And now our next agendized item is the consent agenda. I am not taking questions, but thank you, Kevin. There are 3 technology items that were above that are 3 technology items, 2 from Bonner County Technology that are confidential. The first was for $130,956. The second was $10,800. There was a justice service technology item that is confidential for $25,850. And then for public works, there is a total of, for EMS Station 1 and office project change order number 9, which added steel angle and blocking at the elevator shaft per request for information number 29 for the reinforcement of the second floor elevator shaft, for a grand total of $5,489.43 for Mr. and Mrs. Patterson.
So I move to approve the consent agenda, but noting to Reg Crawford that if I move to remove the MLD, it would still be on the agenda. So we have to address MLD in a different format, but I understand your concern.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. Is there any discussion amongst the board?
No discussion at this time.
Roll call vote. Yes.
Yes.
Our next agendized item is Ms. Clark with Human Resources. Good morning.
Alicia Clark, HR for the record. HR is just requesting approval for the Pacific Source Plan change documents. Our broker, Marsh McLennan, and legal have reviewed the changes, and these are just to clean up some of the minor language issues that were discovered.
Based on the information before us, I make a motion to approve the amendments and document changes for Pacific Source Plan 10/2022 and 10/2023.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. Is there any public comment on this agendized item? Hearing none, is there any further discussion amongst the board?
No.
Roll call vote. Yes,
Yes.
the motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Clark. Our next agendized item is with EMS Director Lindsay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jeff Lindsay, EMS, Bonner County EMS Chief for the record. 3 items today for your approval. Our first one is our medical director agreement. This is a medical director agreement between Dr. Ronald Jenkins and Bonner County EMS for the 2024 fiscal year. This contract commences October 1st, 2023 and will remain effective for 1 year. The cost of this contract is $45,360, which will be paid in monthly installments of $3,780.
Chief Lindsay, is there a change in the amount from last year?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
I move to approve and sign the medical director agreement between Dr. Ronald Jenkins and Bonner County EMS for the 2024 fiscal year. This contract commences October 1st, 2023 and will remain effective for 1 year. The cost of this contract is $45,630, which will be paid in monthly installments of $3,780.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. Is there any public comment on this agendized item? Is there any discussion amongst the board?
No, thank you.
Roll call vote. Yes,
Yes.
the motion carries.
Okay, next, medical transport agreements. Contracts for the medical transports with the below listed agencies in Bonner County for the 2024 fiscal year. These contracts are for the provision of emergency and non-emergency medical transport services in Bonner County commencing October 1st, 2023. And the cost of these contracts are listed below. Clark Fork Valley Ambulance, $45,895 for the fiscal year to be paid in installments of $3,824.58. And then we have the Schweitzer Fire District, $38,725 for the fiscal year to be paid in the installments of $3,227.09. And then Priest Lake EMTs, which would be $45,895 to be paid in monthly installments of $3,824.58. And then last, we have Kootenai County Emergency Medical Service System at $9,015 to be paid in installments of $751.25.
Based on the information before us, I move to approve and sign the contracts for the provision of emergency and non-emergency medical transport services in Bonner County with Schweitzer Fire District, Clark Fork Valley Ambulance, Priest Lake EMTs commencing October 1st, 2023. The total cost of these contracts will be $139,530 for the fiscal year and will be paid in installments of $11,627.50.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. Is there any public comment on this agendized item?
Kevin Moore for the record. And so on the sheet here, it says 11,627 a monthly. I think we just read this is 139,000 a year. And so this is agreement with these numerous entities. So depending on whether we use them or not, how much we use them per month, whatever, this is the amount that we agreed to pay them.
Yes, because they provide coverage to our Bonner County residents 24/7. I believe, speaking for myself, I would rather pay for the service and not need it rather than pay for it and need it. I would be very content to not get the opportunity to spend time in the back of an ambulance.
Well, yeah, hopefully none of us want to fall in that position. Sometimes I guess we trying to think, I'm not able to use the right terminology here, but prorating or paying by usage or whatever, I guess would be another way.
They have to keep their doors and staffing open. This is the arrangement, and this is one of those things that I don't know that I'm happy to pay for, but I am very grateful that we live in a country where we have such great medical care. Turning on the news this morning and over the last 72 hours, I would describe as exceedingly depressing, and I am grateful.
Dave Bowman for the record. All those agencies have expenses that are ongoing 24/7, staff, training, equipment, buildings, et cetera, whether they get used or not. So, I mean, they're very extremely reasonable thing for the taxpayers to pay. And that service is there. Well, it just costs money to keep it available.
Thank you, Mr. Bowman.
Well, I used to be a professional firefighter, so I know the pros and cons or whatever of the public wishing that there was more usage or whatever instead of the people just sitting around. I'm saying that these entities, whatever, I'm sure that they are subsidized or they're county tax paid to have to be an entity. I was just trying to more a dialogue about the monthly charge that we're steadily doing on top of that.
Thank you.
Jean Bansimer for the record. We have a radio in our house. They get used all the time. I'm just gonna say, wakes me up in the middle of the night sometimes. So they're used.
Thank you. Is there any discussion amongst the board?
I have a question for Jeff. Did you add the payments together and that's how you came up with the 11,000? If you took those monthly payments together, it comes out at $13,590.83.
Okay, Sarah prepared this for me, so I'll blame her. I'll throw her under the bus. But we can you're saying we just need to change that amount?
So
If what you were doing was adding the monthly payments, because the verbiage on it didn't say monthly for each and every one, but if you were adding each dollar amount that you put for each of those entities, your total is $13,590.83.
Okay.
So I'm gonna,
the large number is correct, Commissioner, but the monthly installment is
Correct.
was a little
Yep.
low.
the
And
monthly installment should be changed from the 11,000.
So.
So I will amend the motion to reflect the change then. Based on the information before us, I move to approve and sign the contracts for the provision of emergency and non-emergency medical transport services in Bonner County with Schweitzer Fire, Clark Fork Valley Ambulance, Priest Lake EMTs commencing October 1st, 2023. The total cost of the contracts will be $139,530 for the fiscal year and will be paid in installments of $13,590.83.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. Is there any further discussion amongst the board?
No.
Roll call vote? Yes? Oh, pardon. Dimitri, I think we have one more if you want to wait and I'll let you speak.
It's pertains to this motion. Commissioner Williams forgot to mention Kootenai and medical service or Kootenai Fire. I
Oh.
only gonna mention 3. And there is a 4.
Yes, we'll just add Kootenai into the list. The monthly amount is going to be correct. It's that I didn't say the word Kootenai. That's right. That's what you're saying. Okay. So
Good catch.
there you go.
Thank you, Mr. Borisov.
So we'll amend the motion to include Kootenai. There you go.
I will second the amendment. Roll call vote in regards to the amendment to add Kootenai County Emergency Medical Services System.
I second the motion.
There's a second for the amendment. Yes,
Yes.
the motion passes. So now we are voting on Commissioner Williams' amended motion with the save from Mr. Borisov. Roll call vote. Yes,
Yes.
the motion passes with the amendment. Chief, number
Okay.
3.
Number 3 is our medical director consent and dispatch agreements. The attached medical director consent and dispatch agreements are for all the fire protection district who wish to be considered collaborative agencies with Bonner County during the fiscal year of 2024. And those departments are Sagal Fire District, Sandpoint Fire Department, West Side Fire District, West Ponderay Fire District, North Side Fire District, Sam Owen Fire District, Schweitzer Fire District, Priest Lake EMTs, and the Clark Fork Valley Ambulance.
Based on the information before us, I move to approve the medical director consent and dispatch agreement for all the fire protection districts who wish to be considered collaborative agencies with Bonner County during the fiscal year of 2024 as listed above.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. There is a motion and a second. Is there any public comment on this agendized item? Hearing none, is there any discussion amongst the board?
No discussion.
Roll call. Oh, Mr. Martin. You were hiding behind Ms. Coster.
Wayne Martin for the record. I have a question as to Spirit Lake Fire is not in part of that agreement.
Chief, why is Spirit Lake not part of?
Spirit Lake, yeah, I can answer that directly. Thanks for the question. Spirit Lake is part of the Kootenai County EMS system. Therefore, they are dispatched by Kootenai County Central Dispatch. Our dispatch 911 center in Bonner County does not dispatch them. They take the call and give it to Kootenai County, and Kootenai County will dispatch Spirit Lake.
So theirs was captured in the other one. Spirit
Okay,
Lake
so
is
they were captured in the
other.
other. Okay, thank you.
Is there any further public comment? Is there any discussion amongst the board?
No.
Roll call vote? Yes,
Yes.
the motion carries. Our next agendized items, thank you, Chief, is with the Public Defender's Office and Defender Hagelberg.
Good morning, Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen. Luke Hagelberg, Public Defender. This morning, for your consideration, Commissioners, I have 2 different contracts we are looking to extend from FY 2023 through FY 2024. Same terms, same rate of pay, essentially the same agreement, different year. The first item is for Miss Dana Bowes. She is our conflict public defender. For those unaware, our office can only represent 1 client per crime. So if you have 2 people that commit a theft together, we are ethically prohibited from representing both defendants. So our office takes 1, Miss Bowes takes the other one. We can do that because she is not an employee, but a contractor. She has her own office, own staff, own investigator. She is outside the purview of my office. So we're simply looking to extend that contract through the next fiscal year at the same rate of pay. That is $150 per hour. We pay that because really we have to. The surrounding counties, Kootenai, Shoshone, even Boundary, they all pay $150. So we really have to stay competitive.
I move to approve and sign the conflict public defender contract with Attorney Dana Bose for FY 2024.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. Is there any public comments?
Yeah, Kevin Moore for the record. Can you just give us a generality as for how much we used her last year?
A fair amount. We see her bills, not the cases she works on, but the actual bills for each month. And it's right around $5,000 to $6,000 per month. So divide that by 150. She is doing a fair amount of work for us.
So to reduce that, we have to stop doing crimes in pairs.
Right,
Okay.
right. One person per crime is the
Okay.
rule.
All right.
That's the average, yes.
Is there any other public comment on this agendized item? Were you raising your hand, ma'am? Oh, pardon me. Hearing none, is there any discussion amongst the board?
No.
Roll call vote? Yes,
Yes.
the motion passes.
Thank you, Commissioner. The second item I have, again, is a contract extension. This time it is for Margaret Williams. She is the attorney for CASA, the court-appointed special advocates. Again, for those unaware, when a child is sheltered in our community by the department, you have to have a hearing in a court of law. In that hearing, at least there are 3 attorneys. One is my office. We represent the parent. If there's 2 parents, Ms. Bose takes the other parent. You have the prosecution, Mr. Marshall's office, representing the Department of Health and Welfare. And then you have CASA, who is represented by Ms. Williams. CASA is there to advocate for the child or children, to make sure their wants, their wishes, their needs are communicated to the court. They need to have an attorney. That attorney is Ms. Williams. She has done this work for many years, very competent, very well liked. Again, we're looking to pay her under the same contract, same terms, same rate of pay. The only difference from Ms. Bo's contract is this is a flat fee contract of $3,500 per month. The reason we do that is because she puts in quite a few hours. If you figure she's even doing 10 hours per week on CASA matters, and I think it's more than that, but 10 hours per week, that works out to a rate of pay of right around $87.50, I believe. And that's a pretty good deal when you compare it to lawyers charging $200, $300, or even $400 per month. So again, we're simply looking to keep her on board, extend her contract through FY 2024.
All right. I move to approve and sign the CASA attorney contract with Margaret Williams for FY 2024.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. Go ahead, Mr. Moore.
Kevin Moore for the record. And so from some previous dialogue that we had about Mrs. Bose or Miss Bose, I'm sorry. I believe she works for the Kootenai County Public Defender's Office.
No, she is a contract public defender. She is a private attorney. I know she also does some cases for Kootenai County, but she has her own private office, own insurance, own staff.
I appreciate that clarification because that's where I was wanting Miss Margaret Williams. She would be a similar category then?
Correct. She has her own practice, own insurance outside the purview of my office in the county. Yep.
Is there any other public comment on this agendized item? Is there any discussion amongst the board?
Nope.
Roll call vote? Yes,
Yes.
the motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Hagelberg.
Thank you, commissioners.
Treasurer Coster.
Morning, everybody. Clarissa Coster, Bonner County Treasurer for the record. My first item is approval to pay excess tax sale funds to Treeport Homeowners Association and Ken Yeomans per Idaho Code 31808. Per Idaho Code 31808C, the time has passed for accepting claims for overages from the tax sale. We received 2 claims for the tax sale overage of $177,488.04 on parcel RP 005650020090. I am requesting that the Board of County Commissioners approve payment of the overage to Treeport Homeowners Association in the amount of $1,451.19 and Ken Yeomans in the amount of $176,036.85. Legal has reviewed and approved.
I move to approve payment of the excess tax sale funds in the amount of $177,488.04 on the parcel ending in 0090. We received two claims and the time for recorded parties of interest and record owners to make a claim for the overage has passed. $1,451.19 will be paid to Treeport Homeowners Association and $176,036.85 will be paid to Ken Yeomans. This has been reviewed and approved by legal.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. Is there any public comment on this agendized item? Mr. Moore.
Get more for the record. So yeah, hopefully you can give me the generality here. I'm not really following. They were taxed for $177,000 for their property, but we overtaxed them, and so we're paying them back some. Can you just give me the generality?
Yeah, so when a property becomes 3 years delinquent, it is my office's job that when that happens, we have to start the tax deeding process. If it goes the whole criteria, then we end up selling the property at a tax sale. What this is we sold the property at tax sale. There was an overage in the amount of taxes that we're owing. That overage then can be claimed by recorded parties of interest. They have 60 days to do it from the time my office notifies them of that. And that's what this is now. 2 claims towards that overage. And we're now requesting to pay it to them.
So this piece of property, whatever, they owed the county $177,000.
No, I don't have the exact amount that they owed us in taxes. So the starting bid on a tax sale, I don't know if you've ever come to any of our tax sales, but the starting bid starts at all taxes and costs owing to the county. So that's their property taxes. From there, people are bidding and then the property goes to the highest bidder. In this case, the bidding kept going and it went over the amount of taxes owing in the amount of the $177,000. So this is now overage on top of what we needed to pay the taxes.
So what she's saying, Kevin, is that the property may have owed $3,000. It goes to sell and it says for 200,000. The overage then becomes something that has to be dispersed.
So the 170-some thousand goes back to the family.
If
If
whoever
they
the interested
claim.
party
If
claims
they
it.
claim it.
Yes.
Is there any other public comment on this agendized item? Is there any discussion amongst the board?
Nope.
Roll call vote. Yes,
Yes.
the motion passes.
Okay, item number 2, approval to pay excess tax sale funds to State of Idaho Department of Health and Welfare per Idaho Code 3108. For Idaho Code 31808C, the time has passed for accepting claims for overages from the tax sale. We received 1 claim for the tax sale overage of $152,788.22 on parcel RP 56N05W137801. I am requesting that the Board of County Commissioners approve payment for a portion of the overage to State of Idaho Department of Health and Welfare for their claim amount of $6,310.45. Legal has reviewed and approved.
Before we open it up for questions, can you explain to the group what happens when someone doesn't complain? Where does that money go? Because I see it on everybody's face.
So when somebody doesn't make claim, it is turned over to the Idaho State Treasurer's Office as unclaimed property, and that will be item number 4 on anything that was left over.
And if it is in that office, there is still ability for a taxpayer or someone to make that claim, but instead of going through the county, they now have to go through the state, correct?
That is correct. And the state also has more resources of contacting these people and putting it out there than the county has. So that's why we do choose, Idaho Code gives us that ability, but that is why we choose to turn it over to the state treasurer. So it's out there in a better way.
Now are there questions?
There is a motion or any other public comment? I'm also looking out in internet land. Is there any discussion amongst the board?
Well, I hadn't made the motion yet.
Oh,
I just asked her to answer
see?
that before public comment. I move to approve payment for a portion of the excess tax sale funds in the amount of $152,788.22 on the parcel ending in 7801. We received one claim and the time for recorded parties of interest and record owners to make a claim for the overage has passed. $6,310.45 will be paid to State of Idaho Department of Health and Welfare, which represents the amount of their claim. This has been reviewed and approved by legal.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. Is there any public comment on this agenda item? Discussion amongst the board.
No questions?
Roll call vote. Yes,
Yes.
the motion passes.
Okay, item number 3, approval to pay excess tax sale funds to Clarence W. Taylor and Nancy J. Taylor per Idaho Code 31808. Per Idaho Code 31808C, the time has passed for accepting claims for overages from the tax sale. We received 2 claims for the tax sale overage of $6,612.48 on parcel RP 57N03W 179990. I am requesting that the Board of County Commissioners approve payment of the overage to Clarence W. Taylor in the amount of $3,306.24 and Nancy J. Taylor in the amount of $3,306.24. Legal has reviewed and approved.
I move to approve payment of the excess tax sale funds in the amount of $6,612.48 on the parcel ending in 9990. We received 2 claims and the time for recorded parties of interest and record owners to make a claim for the overage has passed. $3,306.24 will be paid to Clarence W. Taylor and $3,306.24 will be paid to Nancy J. Taylor. This has been reviewed and approved by legal.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. Is there any public comment on this agendized item? Is there any discussion amongst the board?
No questions?
Roll call vote. Yes,
Yes.
the motion passes.
Okay, final item. I am requesting that the Board of County Commissioners approve the attached resolution authorizing the transfer of excess tax sale proceeds as shown in Exhibit A to the State Treasurer. Per Idaho Code 31808-2C, the time has passed for accepting claims for overages from the tax sale, and Idaho Code 31808-2D states that with the consent of the State Treasurer, the Board of County Commissioners may transfer funds to be paid to parties in interest or the owners of records pursuant to paragraph C of this section to the State Treasurer. Upon transfer, the Board of County Commissioners shall immediately notify by first-class mail all parties that submitted a claim on the proceeds and the owners of record of the transfer. The Board of County Commissioners shall provide such information to the State Treasurer concerning the claims and the proceeds as the State Treasurer shall reasonably request. The State Treasurer shall keep and distribute the proceeds in accordance with Chapter 5, Title 14 of Idaho Code. The County Treasurer's Office will notify all record owners and recorded parties of interest that the funds have been turned over to the State Treasurer on behalf of the County Commissioners and turn over all required documentation needed. State has additional resources to process claims and locate taxpayers. Legal has reviewed the resolution. So just anybody that wants to know that hasn't had a copy of Exhibit A, we have 3 parcels that we have overages on, one being the remainder of the one that was item number 2. Total overage that will be turned over to the State Treasurer's Office is $232,269.69.
I move to approve resolution 2381 to transfer the excess tax sale funds as shown in Exhibit A to the State Treasurer. The time for recorded parties of interest and record owners to make a claim for the overage has passed. The state has better resources to manage the funds and locate the owners. This resolution has been approved by legal.
I'll step down from the chair and second the motion. Mr. Moore.
Kevin Moore for the record. So it sounded like that number 4 here that you just did would have been a summation of 1, 2, and 3. But then as you dialogued a little more, it sounded like it was mainly from item number 2. So it's the 232,000 is not a summation of 1, 2, and 3.
No, it's not. So we sold a total of, let's see.
the money is going to
So
different
we sold a
places.
total of 5 parcels altogether. We had 3 of those parcels that had claims made on them. 2 of those parcels, the claim was made for the entire overage that we had. Item number 2 is the one that had the partial claim from the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare. So the remainder of that overage will be turned over to the state treasurer. And then the other 2 parcels that have not even been mentioned because there were no claims made towards them are now being turned over as well. So we had 5 total parcels that had overage on them. You're welcome.
And by doing so, just so that, my understanding is correct. By turning it over to the state, they have a greater reach and access so that potentially the landowner could reclaim the overage or any other vested party to that. It could be an heir, it could be someone, and it's more effective to provide taxpayer, resident, heir, stakeholder, third cousin, 12 times removed, to be able to make a claim on that property so that Bonner County doesn't do so. So it's both more efficient for the county and provides the citizenry a greater opportunity.
That is correct, yes.
Thank you.
And that is another plug too, unclaimed property. Go out there and check your name. I had some money out there that I didn't have any idea that I had, so go check your name.
Is there any discussion amongst, or anybody else from the public who would like to comment on this agendized item? Is there any discussion amongst the board?
I have no questions.
Roll call vote. Yes,
Yes.
the motion carries. Thank you, Treasurer. Our next agendized item is with the Director of Emergency Management, Bob Howard. Good morning, Mr. Howard.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bob Howard, Director of Emergency Management, for the record. Bonner County had a memorandum of understanding with Spot Bus that recently expired. So Bonner County Emergency Management and Spot Bus have worked together to create this updated MOU to renew the agreement in which Spot Bus will provide transportation services for those who are providing emergency services to designated populations affected by an emergency, disaster, or public health emergency. This has been approved by legal.
Based on the information provided, I make a motion to have Bonner County accept and sign the memorandum of understanding with Spot Bus for them to provide transportation services in a time of an emergency or natural disaster.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. There is a motion and second on the floor. Is there any public comment in regards to this agendized item?
Get more for the record. So this would be funded on a as need basis, then this is not a contract.
Correct.
Is there any other public comment, on this agendized item? Please approach the microphone, ma'am.
In light of the fact that we just had a big emergency management alarm, alert test, and in light of current events in the Middle East, would behoove us to know what our emergency management plans are. Do you have plans for him to speak?
He already did speak.
Miss Welly, that is not the agendized item, but if you could announce who you are, but I'll also tell you that he has on the emergency management website, which is there now, if you do a drop down, there is a detailed county emergency management plan that is available.
Thank you.
And it's pretty dang cool. I hope we never have to use it.
I just didn't remember.
He was our first one.
Didn't-
And we have LEPC meetings and the next one is on what date?
Thursday.
Thursday.
So if you have any questions, feel free to call or email.
Is there any other public comment on this agendized item? Is there any discussion amongst the board?
No questions.
Roll call vote? Yes,
Yes.
the motion carries.
Thank you.
The next agendized item is with Director Shuck. Dave, you out there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Commissioners, for your time today. I have one item for you. It is a mutual easement agreement acquisition between Bonner County and Big Toy Condos LLC. Bonner County would like to acquire an navigation easement over a parcel of land adjacent to Sandpoint Airport owned by Big Toy Condos LLC. And Big Toy Condos would like to acquire an underground stormwater conveyance easement on airport property. An agreement has been reached wherein Bonner County will grant the stormwater easement in exchange for the avigation easement over the Big Toy Condos property and approximately $15,000 in proceeds from the removal of trees on airport property as described in the attached appraisal, legal descriptions, and exhibits. The proposed easement agreement is in the public interest in that it removes a hazard to navigation presented by the trees on airport property and ensures right of flight and safety of navigation over the adjacent private property. I recommend approving this resolution and acquiring this easement.
And it did receive legal approval.
It did.
Yes. Based on the information before us, I make a motion to approve resolution 202382, approving the acquisition of this easement as presented.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. Is there any public comment on this agendized item?
Well, to be ad nauseam, I guess. Have more for the record. So yeah, we've been doing these easements for, I don't know, 5, 6 years, whatever. So this is just another layer of doing another one, of taking more trees down or opening up more easement.
To an
That's correct.
extent, but we're also, we're also controlling rainwater and protecting a vital economic incubator. I'm not sure if there was a question encapsulated in there, Mr. Moore. I don't want to. For Mr. Shuck?
Mr. Shuck could probably answer this better, whatever. We've been doing this for numerous years or whatever of steadily accessing more land or whatever, or more airspace, I guess, for landing. So I guess as a citizen or whatever, it's just like, it seems like somewhere along the line, maybe several years ago, we'd have done this in such a comprehensive area to where we wouldn't keep coming back and doing this piecemeal.
Yeah, Kevin, I can answer that. The avigation easements, and there are some actual fee simple land acquisitions that we're doing around both airports, Sandpoint and Priest River, are the result of the safety standard requirements by the FAA in order to allow them to rebuild runways at both airports. We're not making the runways any bigger. We're not making the airport any bigger. We are enhancing the safety areas that are required by regulation around both airports so that the public is basically protected from the use of those airports. And these avigation easements allow us to essentially control the airspace above someone else's property. And by control, I mean they are prohibited from putting up a cell tower, for instance, or allowing trees to grow up into that space above a certain height above their property, because we need that for that area clear for navigation around the airports. It's been going on for a little over 6 years, both airports, and it is significant. You're right, it could have been done decades ago in a more comprehensive manner, but it wasn't. So now we're playing catch up in order for the FAA to be able to invest literally millions of dollars into both airports in order to improve the runway surfaces at each airport.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment on this agendized item? Is there any discussion amongst the board?
I have no questions.
Roll call vote. Yes,
Yes.
the motion passes. And
Thank
our
you.
last agendized item for today in this section of our meeting is the prosecutor's office, and we have Prosecutor Marshall here.
Good morning. So for the last few years, we have been contracting with the city of Sandpoint to prosecute their misdemeanors and infractions. By law, I am responsible, my office is responsible to prosecute all of their major cases regardless, along with child cases, juvenile cases, health and welfare issues, things of that nature. But cities that have their own police departments have to provide their own prosecution for misdemeanors and infractions. Many times around the state of Idaho, what they do is they contract with the county prosecuting attorney, and that's what Sandpoint has been doing with me. Part of the issues with Idaho law is that that contract has to be ratified by unanimous vote of the Board of Commissioners. So that's what we're here for today. We did increase the amount from 75,000 to 85,000, which is substantially less than what it would cost the city of Sandpoint to sort of have their own office. But yet it doesn't put a great deal of stress on my office. It doesn't force us to have any more staffing. And so I think it's a good deal for both Sandpoint and for Bonner County. Also remember that City of Sandpoint residents, if any of you live in the City of Sandpoint or any of the other municipalities, you do pay county taxes as well, so.
Prosecutor Marshall, my question is, since Commissioner Bradshaw is absent, still copacetic if we have 2 out of 2? I mean, that's
Yes.
100%.
Still unanimous, yes.
Thank you.
Based on the information before us, I move that the board approve the contract between the Bonner County Prosecutor's Office and the City of Sandpoint for this provision of municipal prosecutor legal services and authorizes the chairman to sign the agreement administratively.
I will step down from the chair and second the motion. Is there any public comment on this agendized item? Mr. Moore?
Yeah, more for the record. So I'm guessing that Sandpoint is happy with this contract or this agreement too then.
So Sandpoint, yes, they just voted to renew it before I brought it to the board for ratification. So I will take their yes votes as they're happy. Clearly the city police department is happy with it. I've known Chief Kuhn for decades, and so we get along quite well.
Dave Bowman for the record. Just, could you expand on, I'm just curious about the requirement for unanimous vote. That seems to be an odd, I've never heard that before in this venue.
It is odd. The only reason why, I have no idea why the legislature did what they did, but it is expressly in the statute that allows for these contracts, that it says it has to be ratified by unanimous vote. I have no idea why. I mean, it's the statute's been on the books for a long period of time now, and it's typical with a lot of Idaho statutes. There's no court cases to sort of define and clarify why it is what they did. So we just have to look at what the legislature did and accept it, that it's the law.
Is there any other public comment on this agendized item? Is there any discussion amongst the board?
I have no questions.
Roll call vote? Yes.
Yes.
This motion has passed unanimously, 2-2. And it is 10:30, and we will recess for 10 minutes before for a whole. Mr. Dupree, what do we have? I have no idea. It's a surprise.
Yes. Thank you for allowing me to share. I failed to mention during the ASHA's report, Monday, October 16th, we are having a meet and greet at Blanchard Community Church to meet our Zone 5 commissioner, or excuse me, not commissioner, trustee for the school board, Kathy Nash. And thank you for allowing me to put it on the calendar so we have it officially.
You are welcome. Your civility is noted and appreciated for everybody's civility today. It is 10:31 and this meeting is recessed for 10 minutes where we will proceed into executive session.